We do nonsense once in a while.
Oh. You have one of these?
No.
Well, you better have that.
Business cards.
It's the old school way. I like that.
I like
All
that.
right,
I see
it's
that.
that time once again for the local music roundup. I'm Big Don, and we have Brian Jobe with us, and Shane Etter, our local music garbologist, is back with us. after a little
Hey,
break.
got 2 weeks out.
Yeah, and we got to take care of business. Talking about Joysticks Arcade, of course, the fine sponsor of the roundup. Been here since day one of the show. And,
I know. Speaking of Pete, I seen him walk down the hallway here.
Yeah,
a little while
he's
ago.
floating around here somewhere. He might pop in, but yeah, he's been sponsoring us since day one. Of course, he's got the Rockade, and it's not just an arcade, but it's a Rockade because he's got the Rock Dock, and that's the real cool thing about all those old school video games that he's got down there. Pinball, the Elvira machine. Everybody has to talk about that one. That's like
right.
the most popular one down there. And he's got all kinds of those old school arcade games. It's a lot of fun. And the Rock Dock, that is an amazing little setup he's got going there. And if you're in a local band and looking for somewhere else to play, get a hold of Pete, because the Rock Dock is a great venue. All right, I got one more piece of non-music roundup business before we get to our guest today. I got to give away some Cardinal tickets. So if there's any of our Cardinal fan listeners that want to go see the Cardinals and the Rockies this Sunday afternoon, just call us right now at the studios, 524-5410, and tell Malia that I want to go see the Cardinals this weekend, and we'll hook you up with 4 tickets to see the Cardinals and the Rockies. All right, that's what's going on there. And now I'm going to turn this over to Brian and Shane, because we have some guests in the house today.
Yes, we do. We have Mamaz Boyz here.
Hey.
Doing a little reunion here at the radio station. In-house, we have Bobby Fitzgerald, Tim DiGiulio, Randy Fall, and Randy Fraker, all from Mamaz Boyz. Welcome.
Hey, thanks.
How
How
you
you
doing?
doing?
How you
Help
doing?
if I turn this on.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, we're
Are we live now?
No, I was talking about turning
I
that
thought
on
maybe the
so we
microphone
can-
was off.
Oh no, the mics are on.
All right,
Turning
all
that
right.
on so we can play some music here in a bit.
Well, before we get started, I guess I could add, Jim was just telling us out in the studio how this kind of come about with cassette tapes of Mamaz Boyz. If you want to just kind of tell what you were saying out in the studio, how this all kind of come about getting together today.
Sure, I came across a box filled with cassette tapes of various bands that I've been in, and a lot of them with Mamaz Boyz on. And I thought, I got to get these on digital format. So I put a post out to Facebook asking if anyone had a cassette player anymore that I could borrow. And I did get a couple of people, and of course you reached out to me and said, hey, we do this thing with local musicians and trying to capture the history. And so you were kind enough to take our cassette tape and put it down onto a digital format and got CDs for us. And so here we are. It's been 30 years, and it's been great catching up with these guys again.
And I think that tape was done in '91,
Right.
and Chris LaDonna Nolden did that.
Yeah, Chris Nolden did, which is kind of ironic because I'm in.
You're playing with them
one of
right
the bands
now.
I'm in. I'm with Chris and LaDonna in a band called Crossover, and so it's kind of funny how we've come full circle. But we did those recordings in his studio, and actually Randy did a lot of the engineering on that.
Yeah, you want to talk a little bit on that, Randy? Get the
And I
microphone
just
in.
made it sound the way I wanted it, so. It was, I can't remember, you had 8 tracks.
I think there was
Nine.
nine
tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless one of them just sounded like the other one, but they didn't have any crowd noise in it.
Chris did most of the work, and then I just kind of tweaked it a little bit.
So most of them ended up in the live set well, I imagine all of them probably did at some point, but
Yeah, we were getting our list going at that time, just building more songs in it. We wanted to do. That was one thing I really liked about the band was we were lucky we got to play songs that we wanted to play, and fortunately the people that our audience liked it, so.
I was a bartender at Mad Hatter's back in 1989, and I'm honestly, I can't remember back that far a whole lot, but I'm sure at least 2 of you, probably 3 of you, were probably in the band at that point. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm. I think you and I, Randy, weren't we in '89?
89.
89. Let's see here.
Yeah, I know.
89,
Yeah.
89, 90, because I remember,
90.
I didn't know if we played in '89 or not. In '90
No,
we played.
well, maybe
Bobby,
that's what I'm thinking, because
Jim.
I still frequented the place. I had to take a real job after, you know, you got to go to a factory to pay the bills sometimes. But yeah, I remember I went down there on the weekends and saw you guys several times. So maybe it was 90.
90.
Yeah, 89. You know, anywhere from 88 to probably 92. I was down there quite a bit. So. But I remember seeing the band play several times.
Well, you know, going back through a lot of the archives and the history that Brian and I do on the local music research here, Mamaz Boyz was one that had always kind of been a staple. We'd seen the T-shirts out there, the advertisement through the years, and one of the things that we were talking about in the lobby was the different incarnations. Because looking at some paperwork here in front of me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 members of Mamaz Boyz through the years.
Over a 20-year span.
Yeah.
The name was out there for 2 decades.
Randy Fall, and then Fraker Fitzgerald, then Brian Smith, Jeff Blaine, Jim, that's here today, Lenny Fleece, Pat Cornwell, and Jeff Helling.
Yep, the Hellion.
So
The hell,
there's-
that's what I got in my notes.
From about 1990 to 2000 and 2001 through 2011, so Mamaz Boyz was around for quite a few years with
Yeah.
different incarnations.
Mhm.
So
Now, when I put these CDs together, you know, I tend to, I haven't done it in a while, and Shane's waiting on some stuff from me right now. I got a whole box full of tapes. I've got some stuff on my computer ready to go, but when I was going through, you know, I'd have a beer back in my man cave at home, and just kind of go through the tracks, whatever, record them and separate them. I noticed that, you know, like we said, the first 9 or what I would say probably demo cuts or whatever, and the rest
Those were the studio cuts.
that was the
Yeah.
studio.
Yeah.
The rest probably came from the same place. I think it was Attitudes in Carthage. Sound right? I
Yeah,
think
so
that's
those
what I
those
put
were
on.
recorded live then. I think probably off the board. I don't know who
May have
did
been
it at the time.
Eagles Club at Carthage, maybe.
Yeah, but the ones that you got, both the studio and the others, were early on
Yeah.
because I came on, I think, in '90
Right.
and played for a couple of years, and so that's what those recordings are from.
Sounded like fun.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but it
We did have a lot of fun.
We did.
Yeah.
We still do.
well, I can recall. It sounded a lot like probably what I heard when you guys played Mad Hatters. I don't think I ever saw the band anywhere other than there. Heck, maybe I didn't. Don't remember. The 80s, early 90s, kind of fuzzy.
Yeah, we were
Well,
all-
last
yeah.
week it's kind of fuzzy.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys ever play around with writing any material, or
We
ever go down
never
that
did do
road?
an
or
original tune, no.
Okay,
No.
okay, that's awesome. I mean, the material, like I said, I can sit there and listen to it. Matter of fact, I listened to it the other night again, and it's one that's just, it's great to jam out to. I enjoy it. It's some good stuff.
Yeah, classic rock stuff we
So,
grew up with.
That's right.
And I think one of the things that really helped us stand out from the other bands is that we really worked on backing vocals and harmonies. So when one was taking the lead, the other two would be trying to do backing, and then on some choruses, all 3 of us would be singing, and that was a pretty cool thing.
That's one of the things that Brian and I have talked about with going out and supporting the local musicians in this area from week to week, and a lot of these bands are starting to do a lot more of that now, where you have 3, 4 different singers and filling in different areas, or one lead singer, like you said, could drop off, and then you'd have one other lead singer popping up, and that's what makes it kind of, you know, universal with these musicians.
Mama Let Him Play. That's one of the tunes.
That was kind of one of our signature tunes.
Yeah.
We were the only band around doing that.
I was.
at that
I
time.
like that tune, and
Yeah.
every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, that's some stuff I remember right there. But
That,
we were
would get them
talking-
on. That was always guaranteed.
Yeah.
Fill the dance
Yeah.
floor on
So,
that.
is there any song off of those, Brian, that you guys would like to hear that we can
Well,
play
just
here?
cue that one up for
One
the
of
hell
this-
of it. What do you
that
think?
one's top of my list right here.
There
we
you
want to fire that one up, Don.
Yeah,
let's
let's
do
go
some.
right in.
Let's play you a little sample of Mama's Boys. Now, keep in mind this did come from tape, best we can do, but I mean it sounds pretty good from a tape. A good example of what the Mama's Boys sounded like, or the Mama's Boys.
The Mama's
And again, this was recorded in Chris and LaDonna Nolden's studio in Ferris.
Right on.
Illinois.
And this is the very song that we were talking about, Mama Let Him Play.
Yeah, these are okay. Yep, yep.
Mics are off.
Yeah,
We're good.
Yeah, I seen you hit the button, so that's why.
A little louder here than it is.
I know.
Don likes to crank these things up.
I'm deaf.
You know, really, those recordings were pretty crisp and clear. And
Yeah.
it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it recorded on?
Recorded on reel to reel.
Oh, it was originally reel to reel, huh? That's pretty cool. So it's kind of a third generation thing, actually. Yeah.
That'd be an interesting thing to mention when we come back.
Okay.
Just because of the technology and what has happened. I was thinking that was the same with the photos. I mean, we could talk here all day long.
Oh,
Right.
no.
But, you know, going from having to have a video camera that was this big.
I know, I used to have one.
Right. So now people just have these.
Right.
And that's just made a huge difference.
Well, that's why it's so cool to have this, you know, because it wasn't as easy then, you know. Although I do have a box full of tapes like, you know, Sling Grand and Smokehouse and all this, but I mean, these ended up in people's closets and they forget about them. You know, I don't have any fancy software that cleans anything up or anything, so you get what you get, you know, however it sounds coming through.
But you're getting it off the cassette tape, so it's not bleeding through.
Right. I've had to fix tapes before, you know, that broke or whatever. It's like, oh man, I don't know, but I kind of got handy. You know, it still makes kind of a blank space in the tape, but I can edit them as far as
Oh,
cutting a little bit off the ends or whatever that isn't necessary. You know. But tape hiss and all that kind of stuff, it just depends on, I mean, you gotta, I always clean my heads before I play the tapes and stuff, and that's about the best I can do. So, some things come out better than others. This sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
it does. That's why I like to do it. I've been really busy lately, but I like to see this stuff get digitized where it isn't lost forever.
I got a bunch of real reels at home. I have a good player.
This is crazy.
I got one that I played on, but it's
Yeah.
the low on it.
that's what I've been trying to get Ed Jensen to come back to this area. Ed and I've been talking, because Ed and I was doing it, and he's got really reels, and I told him, I said, I got plenty of guys back here that we could take, and that's, he was wanting to do a lot more music when he had the studio here. And between Brian and I and Ed, we could do a lot of, you know, like I said, reels, because we haven't really messed with the reels yet. We might be heading that direction now.
Yep.
Didn't know he was that good, did you?
Wait, it's always different. It's always different out front than it is sitting in the
No
front seat,
kid,
you know.
no kid.
Yeah, we go right into another song.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
we'll
probably,
come back to
maybe
that.
if I
Maybe
hit
we
the
should.
pause button, it might have been I'm waiting on Don to do it. You know, wait a minute, he's not. Yeah, anyway, Mom will let him play. I'm sitting there jamming. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you gotta let it
we're
play.
all
oh, I'm
enjoying
doing
it.
a radio show? Oh.
No.
That was a really cool solo in that Jim mentioned.
Yeah, it
that
was.
Who was it that originally did that? Doucette? Was it
Jerry
Doucette? Yeah. Yeah, I've got that on vinyl at home. Man, it's been sitting there for a while. I need to get that out. That's some good stuff. Straight from, okay, so we were talking about this before we, after we went to break. It originally came from Reel to Reel. Okay, so then we ended up with the cassette version that we transferred over to digital.
Yep.
So that sounded pretty good for
Yeah, it did.
you know, for a third generation deal. You know, I guess that's what you'd call it. But yeah,
Mamaz
and,
Boyz.
interesting that it went to, you know, so now we've got it on discs,
right.
and these will go
I know.
very soon.
Yeah, how about that? I'm
So-
doing all this work, and then one of these days we'll be digging the CDs out of the closet. Who
Well,
knows
you know,
what we're gonna be-
we like the hard copies though. That's
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
we're old
yeah.
school. We
for,
like
for
that stuff.
a lot of
Yeah.
different reasons. You know, displays, be able to take it and put it in your car for now, and
Yeah.
your home stereo. It's just a lot easier to hand somebody something than try and look it up on a a website or something like
Well,
that.
there's
so.
an evolution in this media because, you know, I still have a couple thousand albums or better at home, and of course now there's a resurgence in vinyl. So
That's correct.
I have my turntable and I still play records, you know. But for a while, I mean, I ditched my turntable, couldn't find a needle. My records went to storage, and I gave up. And then one day, all of a sudden, you know, the internet. And I was like, oh, you can, you know, then I found a place on the internet. And, you know, so you never know.
I still have my old Pioneer turntable from when I was in college, 1980. So, oh yeah, I still pull out albums and
I
play.
still have
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bought
old
it over in
Pioneer.
Germany when I was over there.
Yeah.
Well, so record collectors, they kind of had a heyday because people were ditching their albums, you know, which I sold a few at a yard sale, and I was really bummed later because then I'd want to dig them out and play them, and I didn't have them anymore. But you know, the record collectors had a heyday there, you know, for several years when people were getting rid of their vinyl. You know, now I guess you still find them once in a while. People don't even understand that. Hey, you know, people are playing these again.
That's right.
They're digging out those cheap Walmart plastic things.
Yeah.
You know, tearing their records up on some of that. But anyway,
You know, I'm trying to remember, how long were you in the band, Jim? You helped form the band. You and Randy, I think, were friends or had crossed
Yeah.
paths. Or
I met Jim over in Macomb went over there to jam with some people, and a guy that ran sound for the band I was in at that time told me about it, to go to this jam session, and we met there, I think,
That's right.
somewhere out in the country in a barn.
Yeah.
have we mentioned the other bands, Shane? We haven't
Not
mentioned the
yet.
other bands that these
Before
guys
we
have
head
been
into
in.
that, I just kind of, with these guys talking about how they formed, tell me a little bit about when you guys first come up with the idea of the band, and the band was called Boys with Toys first.
It's a good story, and Bobby's going to tell this
Yes.
well, even prior to that, I met Randy. You were playing. I saw you the first time at the Pink Tavern, band called PhD, the Puds, and
The Buds.
a classmate of mine from Lomax was there at the Pink Tavern, and he says, "You got to see this band." He says, "Maybe you can get up and sing a tune or something." And so I immediately enjoyed what you guys were doing, and I got up and sang a Journey tune with you guys. And next thing I knew, you and I were talking about.
No, to these guys, he's good.
You guys were talking about.
Yeah, when they talk.
Let's get something going, you know, because you weren't happy with the Puds and you were ready to move on, and then that's when, well, you and I were looking for a drummer, and you said, "Well, I know this cat over in Macomb," which was you, Jim, and so we got things going, and so here we are trying to come up with a name, and we came up with Boys with Toys. And you know, thinking, hey, this is a really catchy name, and so we booked a couple jobs. We're getting ready to do our first gig, and DeTulio calls up and says, "Hey, we can't play under this name." Apparently, there was another band in Peoria with the same name, and we said, "Fuck it, we're far. Excuse me, we're far enough away. You know, that's not going to affect who comes and sees us or whatever." And for you, though, that was a showstopper. You said, "Nope, I'm not doing it." And so Randy and I were like, "Gee, what the heck are we going to do now?" You know, and so we caved. Randy and I caved in, and we came up with Mamaz Boyz, and the name just stuck.
And lo and behold, there was a band named that too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an Irish band named the Mamaz Boyz.
I heard there was a band from Chicago or somewhere. They made a video and everything. They were on MTV or whatever.
Same spelling?
Well, see,
No, not
nowadays,
with the Z's, with
nowadays,
S's,
you-
called Mamaz Boyz.
you can get, go on Google and see if your name's been used now. But
Yeah,
back in the
exactly.
day, you had to have heard of them somehow.
Yeah.
One
I
of the
come up
things-
with some crazy names all the time, and I'll Google it just to see if any band's named that yet. And 9 times out of 10 they are. But
Randy's mom was really supportive of the band and in lots of ways, and so that was one of the cues to, being one of Mama's boys.
Right,
And
right.
then, we kind of rolled with it from there. But she was a great lady, and both of his parents were.
Yeah, they used to come out and see the band all the
They
time.
did.
Yeah.
the Irish Mamaz Boys use their mama on the cover of their album.
It's
true.
true.
Yeah, they love their mom. They were brothers, so yeah. But I thought it was pretty cool. Of course, I'm not sure if I knew of the other Mamaz Boys when you guys were playing or not. But they were, they were probably the most famous. Sorry to tell you guys, but
Not in Southeast Iowa, baby.
not in
That's right,
Southeast
yeah, that's
Iowa. They
right.
were. You're right.
They had our territory.
Right. Yeah, I don't think they ever played here locally. So you guys definitely got the nod on that one.
So I think Bobby had asked. I think I was probably with you guys 2 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that sounds
I think
about right. Yeah.
90 to 92, somewhere around there is when I stepped out. And it's funny because there was a song, really, rather than, was it Billy Quit?
Oh, summer of '69.
Right.
Yes.
But he would change the lyrics up to Jimmy Quit, Randy got married.
That's pretty much what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a 2-year-old at the time, and we were playing a lot. We were doing Wednesday nights, every Friday and Saturday, and it got hard, with a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and so I stepped out of it for a while. But they found other dudes to drum on, and so it's pretty cool that the band lasted as long as it did.
20 years is a long time.
Has there ever been talk about you guys possibly just getting together and just doing a little
Well,
jam?
we did several years ago. We played. It was an event Captain Kirk was having out at Rodeo Park. What was that? Some blues fest or something he was having, and we'd been broke up for I don't know 4 or 5 years, and so we got together. But it was Randy and I and Jeff Helling. But gosh, we were rusty, and that was kind of a struggle getting through that night, I thought.
We've seen that before. Bands get together and
It's just
it's not as easy as it was at one time.
and kind of Brian was kind of talking about some of the bands.
First cut.
Now I know you're playing, Jim, like you said, you're playing with Crossover, Leftovers, Duke and the Band on the Fly. Did I forget anybody right now? Those three.
That's
I was going to
three.
ask about your
And
shirt.
then
Yeah.
you're playing with Rocksteady.
Yep, Rocksteady, and also with LMNOP,
That's right.
of which Randy Fraker is our keyboardist
Okay.
in LMNOP.
and
that's
Bobby
Bobby
was once a member
Fitzgerald.
of Slink and the Dogs.
Slink and the Dogs.
Yep, way back in the day.
And
And Bob's guitarist for Rocksteady
Rocksteady,
is the
yeah.
bass player in my band Crossover.
Yes.
So we,
Dennis
Yeah,
that's
Albert,
right, Dennis
Dennis
Allen.
Albee, who's been interviewed here
Right.
countless
Yeah.
times.
Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But you guys can correct me and add to it. Like I was just going to go through some of the names that he was asking about, Brian, on some of your past bands. Now Bobby Fitzgerald, I mentioned LMNOP that you're playing now in Rocksteady. You lived in Louisiana at one time.
Yeah, lived down in New Orleans for about 6 years.
And you was in the band Neville Brothers.
No, I was in a band. Gosh, what was the name of
Radiators?
that band? No, I opened for the Radiators,
Radiators, that's
and
what it
the
was.
Neville Brothers at various events and festivals. But what was the name of that band?
I seen an article that was done on you
Yeah.
guys. I think in '91, maybe from Macomb, and it give a little bit of background on
Right.
each one of you guys, and that's where I got you was living in Louisiana at that time.
Yeah, we were playing with a band called High Voltage. We were up on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, a little town called Mandeville, and cut my teeth down there quite a bit. That was kind of where I got my start playing music, which was a lot of fun.
Right on. Right on.
And then Jim, the Daddy O's, Outlaws, RPM when he was in college.
Actually, the Outlaws, we fronted the Outlaws with a band called the Hard Times Band.
Okay.
And that was in '86. The entire band came back. It was the last hurrah of the Outlaws. The album was called Soldiers of Fortune. they were touring and got a chance to front them in Madison. I'm a transplant from Wisconsin, so I moved here in '89 to work at the university. And yeah, so that's where that was. So we actually got a chance to play before them, and they were gracious and showed us their limo and hung out with the band. And
Well, that'd be pretty cool
It
to
was
open for
cool.
the Outlaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see here, and then Randy Fall. Thank you for bringing the itinerary here. I see some. Well, I didn't
This
have a
guy
lot of
came prepared.
information
He
on
had
some of.
notes.
Yeah, I know. I like that visuals.
Yeah,
But,
I got visuals, and then I didn't need them. Everybody's got Mamaz Boyz shirts.
Moonrise. Was that Rana and the boys out back?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a
Fallout.
long time ago.
Protocol, PhD that was
The
mentioned
Puds,
earlier. And then nice little history on Mamaz Boyz, different incarnations. Rock Study, Third Violation, Corbin Praise Band, which was based out of Dallas City. And then Randy Fraker, kind of fill us in a little bit on some of your background. and
Some of my
the bands.
background, I think I was playing, I quit my mechanics job and started playing with a rock band that I'd played with 4 or 5 years earlier. Went full time, which at that point in time in the mid 70s, full time was like 2 nights a week, you know. And we played on the ballroom circuit, which was quite popular back then. We kind of played in Wisconsin, Minnesota, over in Illinois some, and mostly in Iowa. Played a lot of high school gigs, which paid very well at that point in time. And
You used to play the Surf Ballroom, didn't you?
yeah, I played in pretty much every ballroom in Iowa.
Yeah.
And several around the other states. But you know, eventually in the late '70s, I gave up on that and then started a different band. We're playing in a Rush cover band at that point in time. In the late '70s, that was a hard ticket because Rush wasn't a very well-known band, but about half our stuff was Rush stuff, you know, and we really enjoyed that.
And technically challenging.
Technically challenging, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they did it with a 7-piece band. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, exactly.
3 for the drummer.
So you know that really didn't go anywhere. We were good, but it was a tough ticket back then, and eventually I ended up putting a little recording studio together, a little 8-track real recording studio in Montezuma, Iowa, living there, and kind of got out of the rock and roll business at that point in time, and put together a group with a female lead singer doing classical rock stuff called Foolish Pleasure. And that was kind of a short-lived thing. I'm going to say a couple of years. And then my wife and I decided to have a family. And so I got out of the music business for several years. And then the kids started getting a little bit older, and I started getting the itch again, and went and saw Mamaz Boyz one night. And I'm going, man, I like the music they're doing, you know. And they, as a matter of fact, they were doing a couple of Rush tunes. I'm going, man, I'm impressed, you know. And so I sit in with them one night, and then, Jeff was a good drummer, and they had a good band, but I decided to pick up keyboards somewhere along the line, and then started sitting in with these guys, and eventually then Bobby and I kind of branched off and started LMLP in the early 2000s.
Yeah, so we're coming up on our 20-year anniversary in that band as well.
Exactly. And it was one of those deals where, I think we can use some of these tunes and tune them down a little bit, and we use sequencing. So I do all the sequencing. Most of them are standard MIDI sequences that we adapt to fit what we want to do. And that's been a fun time. And we can win a little hole in the wall, and sometimes we get asked to turn up.
Yeah,
And,
we can be that quiet.
which
I
was a
never
real
had that
shock to us.
problem.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn it up. Yeah, that's one thing you don't hear very
Yeah,
often.
you don't hear it very often, so I'm more than willing to go down there and slide the faders up a little bit, but just enjoying life.
Well, I know when I first met you, you'd come to see Mamaz Boyz a couple times, and you'd introduced yourself. And I don't know, about the third time you showed up to one of our gigs, you said, "Oh, by the way, I'm a drummer." And I said, "Well, get your butt up there and let's do a song." And so we looked at the song list, and he says, "Well, how about if I do that Rush tune, Limelight?" And I said, "Oh, you want to do that?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he said, "Do you mind if I sing it too?" I said, "Oh, you're going to sing it too, huh? Okay." So anyway, I'm thinking, well, maybe this cat's pretty good, because I'd never heard you play. And you jumped on the kit and just killed that song that night. That was amazing. And from that point on, I knew that I'd always wanted to play music with you, and we've maintained a partnership ever since that time.
It's a great time,
Yeah.
Guys, I think we probably better pay some bills. We're gonna run a couple commercials here. I'll remind everybody that we have Mamaz Boyz here in the studio.
Yeah, Mamaz Boyz.
That's right.
That's right.
And make sure you tell your friends to tune in if they're not already tuned in. I mean,
That's right.
Everybody must be listening. But you're listening to Big Don's Local Music Roundup. We'll be right back. And we'll play.
Didn't you play tune?
We'll play Never Been Any Reason.
Yeah,
We'll let the guys talk
choice.
about it.
Does he got a restroom?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take him
yeah.
there, Brian.
Yeah, and that's another one that,
If I get-
Always good response.
right, always great response, and another one that, you know, again, just showed us singing three-part.
You didn't hear very many bands play that song.
Right.
That's another thing we tried to do was, you know, try not to play the same
Head on out to V's
three-chord songs
restaurant
that a
and
lot of
brew
bands
pub
are
for
playing.
this month's Radio
We
Tea
had,
Cook.
I thought we had a little more talent than a lot of
V's
them.
Light is a
Yeah.
multi
So you'll have to repeat that for the audience, because that's a good
Eckstein and
point.
Nagel Company, a pre-prohibition brewery. And
Because what we were saying, Brian, is that
advertising
we
beer is
really,
wholesome, delicious,
again, worked
and
on
refreshing,
harmonies.
brewed in a modern plant
You
from
know, a
the
lot of
choicest
bands,
malted hops.
it's pretty
Strength
easy
and
to
nourishment in
turn up
your
the
tass.
guitars
Come on down to
and the
V's and
instruments.
get one. Ooh, that
So
sounds
that your
good.
vocals,
Here
you
they
know,
have
to hide your
Bacon
vocals.
Tap,
And we tried really
restaurant
hard to
brew
make
pub
sure that
in
the vocals were out
I
there.
love
Right.
to visit Grandma at River Hills.
And then we worked
Being
on
the
it.
only
She never
rhythm
has to
section,
clean
their
her
whole rhythm
apartment.
section,
She
so.
just plays games with her friends all day.
And we really worked on
I'm
it
Katie,
too.
assistant
The last
living
spot, there's
director.
only
Make
three.
your
Okay,
apartment a home.
okay.
At River Hills
Quickie this
Village in
week.
Keokuk, you have the freedom to come and go.
They were
while
good to
take
me,
care of
not
housekeeping,
give us too much
laundry,
to
and
play today.
utilities.
Yeah.
Tour River Hills Assisted Living today.
Well, usually it's the other way around. It's like 5 minutes. I gotta move stuff.
Yeah, so with the Vulcan peace sign, I'm twirling sticks, but it caught in mid-twirl, so I'm like, probably the worst photo that we could have used.
We're back here on Big Don's Local Music Roundup. We have Spock over here. Mamaz
Mamaz
Boyz.
Boyz are in the house.
Are in the studio. A lot of people remember the Mamaz Boyz. I'm quite sure. I say the Mamaz Boyz. You're just Mamaz Boyz.
Mamaz Boyz.
I hate when people throw a "the" on the beginning.
Or
of it.
band.
Yeah, that Harry at the Pink Tavern always used he'd put a poster on the door, the Mamaz Boyz
Yeah,
Band.
the Mamaz
Okay.
Boyz Band. Yeah, and every band has the band put on the
band.
end too. I noticed that too.
And
but-
remember when we used to play the Pink all the time, and oh gosh, what a fun place that was. Before they added on the second room, we would just pack that place, and
Even after.
even after when they added on the second room. But I remember Harry's wife Maud was always there when we started, and she was always upset because we were too loud. And Harry would come over and say, "Please turn it down." And so Randy would say, "Okay," and he'd go over there and act like he was turning it down. But I think you actually
Turned it
up. Yeah. And so Maud was just so upset with us. But what could she do? The place was packed, you know.
That's right. That's funny.
Power of music, baby.
I know it.
Right on. Well, I think we're gonna turn some people on to some more music that you guys did. This is also from the tape.
Yeah.
Did you guys want to talk about this at all? Never been any reason.
You know, again, this was recorded at Chris and LaDonna Nolden's studio in Ferris, Illinois in 91. Again, recorded on reel to
I
reel.
think it was 90.
But that again was another cover song we did that just brought everybody on the dance
Oh,
floor
yeah.
every time we did
Heck
it.
yeah.
You
One of the
know,
reasons we chose that song was there weren't very many other bands around here playing it,
Right.
local bands.
Right.
And we thought it was a great song, a good dance tune, and it turned out to be a good song for us.
A cover of Head East, a great band that came from Flat as a Pancake. I remember it very well. I've still got that one on
I do
mine.
too. Great album,
Yeah.
and that was again, that's a keyboard-driven song, but you know, Randy would do his magic on his guitar and fill it out as would Bobby. So
And the vocals, we talked about the vocals. You guys, put a lot of effort into your
another
vocals.
three-part harmony tune that
Right.
we were kind of known for back in the day, doing all those harmonies. So this is a chance for us to shine on our harmony vocals.
we should actually do it a cappella. We should do it right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
heck yeah. Well, let's listen to it, and then maybe if you guys feel froggy, we can do the a cappella version afterwards. All right, check this
Nice
out.
suggestion, Jim.
Right on, right. Yeah, another sweat.
We'll talk about it now, right?
Here's Mamaz Boyz doing "Never Been Any Reason."
What the fuck were you thinking? Oh, we could do it.
Not me, my bills,
You got clean extra paper towel over there?
We're not prepared.
Oh, sure. So it's just the one, you want the one on the coaster? Or?
That's okay.
Got a coaster, right?
I'll remember to hit pause after this.
Yeah, we're just over here. Whoop.
Too fast, though. Way too fast. Actually, it's a little bit torturous listening to it again. I'm like, oh shit. A lot of, which is good, I've grown a little since then, but this is too fast.
It is a little fast, isn't it? But, in a live setting, that tended to happen a lot, didn't
Yeah,
it?
but this is recorded, but we were still jacked up.
Were you doing it live though? You were, I mean,
Oh yeah, we were playing.
you were all together.
Right. So I think we came into the studio and just banged off what we normally were playing.
So it's basically your live set in the studio setting. Yeah.
And we probably did it in like 1 or 2, 3 takes. I don't remember. And we didn't do the tracking. I mean, that's the other thing. Talking about old school. We didn't, go back in and dial in or fix. Oh, there was a note there. Let's fix that. Tape rolls. Boom. You're going.
2-track? 2-track reel, right?
Yeah. Let's see, 3. Yeah. Mama Let Him Play, Radar Love, Heaven, All Right Now. Couldn't Stand the Weather.
No, the recorder, yeah.
He had a,
I can't remember if we grouped
I can't remember if it was a 4 or an 8-track recorder. I know the drums, part of the drums were on one track and part of the drums were on another track. I wondered. That was all his capabilities. Yeah,
Keep Pushing is a good, I like Keep Pushing is a good choice for a cover.
I don't think I could sing this. Maybe in between Coffin and Slam, I could get something out of it.
Yeah, I said, we have people tonight.
Yeah, we need to talk about that before we get out of here.
Yeah.
About that. We're playing tonight at Sidelines, Elemental Pieces, so we'll
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
promote that before we
If
Is
you
Greg
wouldn't
Smith
mind,
gonna be down there?
let me do a plug for this.
Yeah,
We're playing
definitely.
at Couch Fest
Text me.
in Burlington.
About what?
Definitely.
Actually,
About
closing
the
out.
3 songs he's gonna be on Z93 for suggestions. Unless I misinterpreted his. We'll look at it.
We still got a couple
They can
minutes.
also do it from reel to reel on tape, and tape to the CD too. Besides that, so
See, this,
we've had that.
sometimes this works and sometimes it don't. Sometimes it'll carry the track time from the previous track over. So I don't have any clue, but in this case, this is this song. So I don't know why it does that. I haven't got the glitch out of it yet.
Didn't get the cover on yet. Still have that cover.
yeah.
Always more
Yeah,
down.
you use that.
I think that might be me.
That's funny. Well, that's,
Don't
and
think I
then
can do
Cold
that
Shot,
anymore.
I sing now, and when it started, I'm like, that's not me. I totally forgot that we even did that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
fun.
Mom sang that.
Yeah.
It's a good competition in the song. Good else.
And then moving from lighters to these now, that's the other way to go. There's when one would fire, toke up their bick so they could have a flame like that.
Right, got it.
Torch me.
We homed up there.
On the lights, too, the 1,000-watt bulbs that would fry your head.
Oh yeah.
But the nice cute little LEDs now that
Cooler.
I remember that about Steamboat days. have these lights out there and they turn on and feel the heat from it as soon as they turn on.
I fat fingered it.
Oh, Brian and his fat fingers.
I have my finger hovering right above that. I wanted to cue it just right, and of course, when I do that, it doesn't seem to work. But never been any reason, Mamaz Boyz, and Jim still has that cowbell.
I do. Still use it.
I guess we decided to forego the acapella version, so we won't talk about that anymore. I mean, it's been a long time, right? Hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
But that's a really good tune.
Always got them on the dance floor, guaranteed.
Yeah.
That would fill the floor.
Well,
And
you guys picked some good ones for dancing tunes. You must have had people dancing, except the ballads. They'd be out there rubbing bellies. So
yeah.
So you guys definitely had the whole dance thing down pat. You had to have that dance floor packed pretty much.
Thanks.
From what I remember, at Mad Hatters, you certainly did.
Yeah.
I was really busy behind the bar, but
We had a good run, 20-year run. Of course, you were the only member of the band that was in it the whole 20 years, Randy. But
right, 20 years.
The anchor.
the anchor.
There you go.
I needed to mention that LMNOP.
Yeah,
is
that's the
playing.
band Randy and I are in.
Right.
MLP's been around a long time as well, about 19, going on 20 years now.
Is that that's tonight?
But tonight, LMNOP at Sidelines in Fort Madison.
I have 8 to 11.
8 to 11, that's correct.
Okay. All right.
Um,
I try to keep track of these.
Yeah,
things as
well,
much as
you do a
possible.
fine job. We have mighty fine Ned Francis in the band. He's going to be adding his acoustic guitar, lead guitar, banjo, harmonica, and vocals.
Ned's
and
awesome. He's awesome.
Big City Smith is back in the fold after taking about a 5-year break from the band. He's gotten the itch again, and we've done 2 or 3 gigs now with Big City Smith, adding his vocals and congas. And so it's fun having him back in the band again. So we will be at Sidelines this evening, Fort Madison. It's going to be a beautiful night, nice cool night. Come on out. We're going to party on the patio, and hope to see everybody out. Should be a lot of fun.
Right. You won't have to sweat watching the band tonight.
Not
probably.
tonight.
No.
I don't think you'll get cold. It's perfect, isn't it?
It's a
I mean,
perfect night for an outdoor gig. Yeah, couldn't be better.
The outdoor events have been really blessed just recently.
Yes.
For sure. Shane, did you have
No,
anything?
Jim, I wanted Jim to talk a little bit on one of the bands he's playing in. He's going to give a little plug on something that's coming up as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and another great weekend for live music outside. I'm going to be playing with Duke and the Band on the Fly at the Couch Fest in front of the Capitol Theater in Burlington.
I have that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
we're the closing act, so we go on at 10, and should be a good time. Duke knows how to get the crowd going, and I refer to his music as Mississippi swamp music. You know, he's
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, he gets into the swamp and talks about the Mississippi River, and great songwriter. It's mostly originals, so I think we're only doing two or three covers the whole
Wow.
hour and a half set. So
That was really cool, that whole thing. I was just looking into it, and I'll be brief because we got other things to talk about. But you could bring your own couch to that thing, or you can purchase for $100. You can get a couch, provided, and then have 3 buddies,
right.
or your girlfriend and another couple or something.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool.
It is cool. So right in front of the Capitol Theater, they close the street off and have a party, and so their band's I think starting at 5, so it's an all evening affair.
Was
I
that
bet you
tomorrow
that'll
night?
be
That's
good.
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Oh,
So
awesome.
You can catch these guys tonight, tomorrow night. Heck,
Yeah.
of course, they'll be spread out a little bit, but but like I said, the live events. I mean, knock on wood. Of course, I just said something on the radio, so but it'll be good. It'll be good. We'll be all right. You are listening, just in case you just tuned in. The Mamaz Boyz are here in the studio.
Blast from the past.
Blast from the past. 30 years.
We were
Well,
together
20
about
years. 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. You
But
guys.
it's been 30.
But it has been 30. Yeah. Well, that's the thing I had in my mind, but then I thought, well, I'm confusing by saying 30.
And Randy
but,
Falls sitting over here, he was really one of the founding members, and was the only member who was in the band that whole 20-year span.
Only guitar player.
Only guitar player. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Now I play in a Christian band in in Dallas City, And we have some really good talent in that band.
Yeah.
And we play every Saturday night there, so that kind of gets my fix going. So
What's the name of that band now?
Core band.
Okay, all right.
Jimmy
Well,
Melton's lead guitarist in that band as well. He kind of put that thing together.
His son Jeff plays the drums. He's an excellent drummer. And we have 2 lady singers that are really just awesome, and harmonies, and a keyboard player she's been playing keyboards for 50 years or whatever.
Okay.
So really, we played at the Christian Musical Fest at Dallas City. I think it's been 3 weeks ago maybe.
Yeah. During Dallas City
Yeah, and
celebration.
really
Dennis,
good
Dennis
turnout,
Alvey's
yeah.
band played too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they played there.
And then,
Right.
yeah, and a band I'm with,
Autistic.
Dennis with, we'll be playing Labor Day weekend in Colchester
Okay.
from 7 to 9:30, and that's the band called Crossover.
Crossover in
Right.
Colchester. Okay, all right.
What was the name of your Christian band again?
Corbin.
Corbin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Shane's taking notes over
Yeah,
here.
I'm
He's
taking
still
notes.
learning stuff.
Oh, all the time.
We learn.
Ever the historian.
There's certain things that come out on the air that we did not know, and by golly, we got to have record of this. Somebody's got to do it,
We
right?
play every
gotta
Saturday
learn.
night at 7. We play like 4 or 5 songs, and then there's a sermon, and then we play 4 or 5 more songs to close it out, and it's really
That's the River of Life Fellowship, isn't it?
River of
Dallas
Life
City?
Fellowship.
So in a roundabout way, you can come out and see Mama's Boys, through any time through the week, because all 4 of them are still performing today.
Well,
so
and maybe again sometime soon. I'm gonna put in a request. Well, I'm gonna put in a request right now, and Jim's nodding his
We'll
head.
go to Shane's house.
yeah,
We're
there
gonna
you
do
go.
this at
Come on
Shane's
over.
house.
I got 2 rooms downstairs, back deck.
Well, if
We
this is
could
gonna
do
be
it.
an outdoor thing, we might want to get this hooked up soon.
We've got a
so-
whole backfield behind
Right,
there.
right,
I'm
right.
sure I can
Oh,
pull
heck
some strings
yeah.
there.
Yeah, Mama won't mind.
No.
Now she'll serve Kool-Aid,
There
right?
you go.
All right,
Exactly.
no, but yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, but then anyway, so we're gonna keep our eyes open for this, the Mamaz Boyz reunion.
It may happen.
Yeah.
All right, it may happen.
Is there another song that we want to listen to?
Well, we can
there?
certainly fire something up here. Do you guys have anything in mind, or you want me to
You guys have a
name off
request?
a few?
There you go.
Everybody's got the
We
CD
brought in a
here.
couple CDs that Brian transferred over, live music of Mamaz
Stand
Boys,
Alone.
and also a cassette tape that was done in 1991 of Mamaz Boys.
All right
Yeah.
now.
And we've listened to 2 songs already, so we're just kind of
Couldn't
looking
stand
at them
Alone.
to see if there's another song
Well,
you want to listen to.
Mama let him
Couldn't
play,
say.
and never been any reason. Both stompers. you
Yeah,
know,
they were good.
Get up and boogie to
That's
them.
right.
I mean, they played some high energy rock and roll music.
That's right.
And people responded accordingly.
That's right.
And we're
Yeah,
still.
maybe,
we're still,
why don't you cue up, Couldn't Stand the Weather, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
think
too.
so? Yeah.
Where's that at?
Couldn't stand
It's
the
on
weather.
the,
Cold Shots also
the
on there
studio
too.
version.
Yeah. Is that your final
So
answer?
these are 2. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the final answer.
All right, that's their final answer, and we're going to play it. Mamaz Boyz doing.
Bobby on vocals.
Oh, Bobby on
Bobby on
vocals.
vocals.
Yeah, I'm really bad at charades.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's some more visuals for y'all out
Right,
there.
right. Yeah, we do this all the time.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
Can't you see?
Bobby Fitzgerald on vocals. Here it is. Couldn't Stand the Weather. Mamaz Boyz.
That's just awesome that all 4 of you are still, like you said, full circle with with Nolden, and then the 2 of you getting back with Delman, OP, and still playing in that Christian.
It's bad. Helen isn't here.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to have to watch this one. You see that now? Because it's just going on from the last track.
This
so-
took a little while to
The
get
one
that.
like,
Yeah.
how long is it? Maybe 3
Tricky
minutes?
timing.
One more time?
Next one.
Right, the next one.
Well, it's counting.
Time and small.
Well, I think it's 4:15.
Highlights for those
I don't think I touched it, but
people
maybe
in there, but it can get rather.
I had you. Yeah, you rolled just right in there now.
The guy was trying to get out of the nursing home. He got done playing out front, and there's a guy in a wheelchair trying to get out through the front door. And they were pulling him back in. He wanted to hear the band more. They wanted to hear some more music.
Yeah, back when we were doing the nursing home circuit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's done down in
Yeah. Lexington Square.
For you, are there places that you guys perform, pull out your acoustic, I mean, it's non-performance? I'm sure you've done it.
Just 2 bands, that's plenty for me. You know.
your grandkids coming.
I know it.
Yeah. That'll change your life.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, I waited till the end to pause it this time. All right.
And that was Randy Fall on lead guitar, ladies and
We
gentlemen.
got the full effect on that one. That was
Yeah.
good stuff. Couldn't stand the weather. Stevie Ray would be impressed.
That's right.
Heck yeah. All right, guys, we got a few minutes left. We want to make sure we get all this off our chest. Anything you got in mind? Jim, you talked about your rest home, what would you call it, convalescent center experience?
While the music was playing, we were talking about how music is in different places for different groups.